It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome in another edition of Musso at the box. Well, it's here. The series that everyone circled when the schedule came out. Tennessee, their trip to Baton Rouge, the defending national champions, coming in. The last time the Vols were in Alex Box Stadium was 2023. That series set attendance records. It was won by LSU. You saw numerous professional players on the field, from Skeens versus Dolander to Chase Burns versus Ty Floyd. It presented some of the best theater that the new Alex Box Stadium has ever seen, and many are expecting the same deal when the Vols and Tigers link up on Friday night. First pitch 6:30, Saturday first pitch 7, and then the series rounds out on Sunday with a 2 p.m. slated start. The weather is supposed to be fantastic all weekend. Great crowds expected, and there could not be more on the line for these two teams in this weekend and throughout the Final Four series of the season. This just serves as the jumping off point, adding another layer of intrigue. If you can't tell, I am fired up to dive in to this weekend. So that is what the entirety of this show obviously will be. It is our preview for LSU and Tennessee. What will the Tigers do on the mound on Sunday? So we'll go through the pitching matchups, how LSU matches up against Tennessee, what LSU needs to do in order to win this series at home, a place they've been very good so far this season, specifically in conference play. And, of course, will LSU do those things? We'll give you our series prediction to wrap up the show. So smash the like button if you have not already. Get subscribed to the YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast app if you have not already. Smash that like button. Please share. And remember, we're brought to you by Gotlit Light Installers. Now, let's go ahead and dive right into it. We will start with our just overview. These two teams come in remarkably similar. One game separates them in the loss column overall, and they are tied at 12-6 in the SEC standings. The Vols come in 34-7 overall on the year. They are hitting .308 as a club. That places them third in the SEC behind Arkansas and LSU. They have hit 97 home runs, which places them second in the Southeastern Conference behind Georgia. This is a team that is very potent offensively, although their lineup has undergone some changes now that they've entered conference play and gotten deep into the SEC slate as well. More on that later on. On the mound, Tennessee sports a top 5 ERA in the nation, 3.17. We'll get into plenty about Liam Doyle. He is awesome on Friday nights. They are third in the SEC in strikeouts, right behind LSU, who places second. Again, remarkably similar all the way around. In the field, Tennessee, that is where they struggle a little bit. .970, which isn't a horrible fielding percentage, but that will place them near the bottom of the Southeastern Conference. When you look at this series kind of as a whole, especially since Tony Vitello has been in the SEC at Tennessee as the head coach, this series has taken on a new life, partly because of the brash arrogance, the swagger that Tennessee carries themselves with, and not that LSU doesn't carry themselves with that. Of course, the program has that aura about it, where you're the standard, the blue blood, and Tennessee has always kind of been under Vitello, the new kid on the block. They got over that hump in 2024, winning their first national championship. And since Tony Vitello has been the head coach at Tennessee, the Vols own an 11-7 record over LSU. Everyone really points to 2021 as the jumping off point for this series. And since then, Tennessee owns a very impressive 10-4 record against LSU, with the Tigers' only victories in that stretch from 2021 to now coming in the 2023 season. So rivalry, call it what you want. I'll refrain from all of that conversation. What I'm going to tell you is it's two really good teams, two really, really good programs that are going to do battle, and it's an incredibly important series for LSU and for Tennessee. That really completes your overview. Let's go ahead right now and just dive into our pitching matchups. And when we get to game 3, we'll go much more in-depth conversationally. Game number 1, you know what it's going to be. It's going to be a battle of left-handed aces. Cade Anderson and Liam Doyle are near each other in a lot of different categories in the SEC standings. For Anderson, it will be appearance 11, start 11. He is 6-1 on the year with an ERA of 3.92. Of course, has the one complete game. 57 and a third innings pitched. 13 walks, 91 punch-outs. The opponent hits 224. The 91 punch-outs place Cade Anderson second in the SEC behind only Liam Doyle from Tennessee. The innings, Cade Anderson leads the SEC in innings pitched so far on the season. He's been really, really good. First and foremost for Anderson this weekend, and this goes for LSU as a whole, but for Cade Anderson specifically, he must keep the ball in the ballpark. We talked about it right there in the overview. Tennessee with their 97 home runs, and it's going to be hot at the box this weekend. Highs in the upper 80s all 3 games. It serves that the box will play small and the ball will fly out of there. Cade Anderson needs to keep the ball in the park, specifically with runners on base. He gave up the 4 homers a week ago to Alabama. 3 of them were solo, and ultimately that allowed LSU to really claw back into that baseball game and ultimately pull away and win it. If you're going to give up homers, keep them solo. But first and foremost, Anderson really needs to keep the ball in the park. 12 home runs given up on the season by Cade Anderson. The next closest on LSU's team is William Schmidt and Connor Binge, who have each surrendered 4. That's the one thing I want to see. Keep the ball in the ballpark. If Cade Anderson does that, I think he'll have a phenomenal outing against Tennessee and really be able to match up and duel against Liam Doyle. That I'm not worried about. You saw him out-duel a top 15 pick in Kyson Witherspoon on the road earlier this season. That was his complete game shutout. He'll definitely be up for the task of the magnitude of the moment, but can he execute and keep the ball in the park? That's for Anderson. Okay, Liam Doyle for the Tennessee Volunteers. This will be appearance 11, start 11. Doyle is 7-1 on the season, a 2.48 ERA, 58 innings pitched, 17 walks, 104 strikeouts. The opponent hits just 154. I love Liam Doyle, just to be quite honest. I was incredibly impressed with him when he came in here with Ole Miss a year ago to face LSU. I mean, at that point, you saw a low 90s fastball from the left side with the ability to get it up to 95. He's taken that to the next level at Tennessee, just really taking the next step to where it's now sitting mid-90s, and he'll even run it up to the upper 90s occasionally. It is multiple pitches with a changeup, a breaking ball, and even a split finger. When you look at him throughout the SEC ranks, this is where Liam Doyle ranks in the SEC. ERA, second. Opponent's batting average against, second. Strikeouts, first. Wins, first. Innings pitched, first. Hits, second. He's in the top 2 virtually everywhere. He is arguably the best starting pitcher in America. Arguably. Now, LSU has faced some really good ones, and they've beat some really good ones. And you can start with Kyson Witherspoon. On a really tough offensive night, LSU scratched out enough to knock him out of the game and beat him. And he had a great performance by Cade Anderson to boot. LSU got Jared Spencer for 5 earned runs. and beat Texas that night. In a late start, you dueled a tough left-hander in Pico Khan. You managed 2 solo home runs, and you beat him. You have hung L's on some of the best pitchers in the Southeastern Conference this year. So this team should have confidence against Liam Doyle in that regard. Their offensive struggles aside, we'll get to that momentarily, how that actually plays in. But from a pure on-paper confidence standpoint, LSU is more than capable of beating Liam Doyle on Friday night. Game number 2, that will be Anthony Ianson for LSU. Ianson, 11 appearances, 11 starts. This is what that will make. Likewise, 6-1, 3.52 ERA, 53 2/3 innings, 21 walks, 83 punch-outs. The opponent hits 224 off of Ianson. I can sit here and tell you that Anthony Ianson really needs to get off to a fast start. I'm actually not going to do that. Because when Anthony Ianson has got off to a fast start for LSU, that's when it really hasn't gone well for him, believe it or not. Anthony Ianson got off to a super fast start against Auburn. You remember that? He faced the minimum through 3 innings and didn't allow a run. And then it went off the rails for him in that game. Anthony Ianson got off to a really fast start against the Texas Longhorns. He'd allowed 1 run or 1 or 2 runs or so through the first, half of that ball game. And then in the 5th inning, it went off the rails for him. Anthony Ianson is better, or at least has been this year, when he hadn't got off to the greatest start. As crazy as that sounds, he's been able to limit the damage early and get stronger as the game goes on. I just think that's who he is. So you'll probably see some traffic early in the game against Tennessee. The key is, against a really good lineup, to limit that damage. He did that against Alabama. He did that against Texas. He's done that virtually for the majority of the year. He even did that in the pre-conference. That's when he's been his best. So go for it. Go for it, kid. Keep doing it that way. For Tennessee, this is another really impressive arm in game number 2. Righty Marcus Phillips. It'll be appearance 10, start 10. Appearance 11, start 11. My bad. He's 2-3, but the ERA is 2.96. 48 2/3, 17 walks, 62 punch-outs on the year, and the opponent hits just 214. You will see a huge fastball from Marcus Phillips. It can get up to triple digits. It will sit 96, 98 in that range. The slider is absolutely filthy as well off of it. That's what you'll mainly see. Fastball, slider. It's very heavy with those 2 pitches. And for him to have an ERA of sub-3 this late in the season, really as a 2-pitch guy, that tells you how plus those pitches are. Both of them are awesome. What he has started to do is mix in the changeup a little bit more to lefties here as the season goes along. But his best 2 pitchers are fastball, slider, and it's very impressive. But the 2-3 record shows you teams have been able to win that second game against the Vols. But I like Marcus Phillips a lot. The 1-2 punch for the Vols is as good as you're going to find in America. On Sunday, we'll start with Tennessee because I want to have more time to really expound on LSU. And on Sunday for the Vols, you'll see Tegan Coons. Tegan Coons is a freshman righty, 6'3", 189 on the year. He has 10 appearances and 7 starts, but he has started every game number 3 for Tennessee in the SEC. 6 for 6 up to this point. So that's most likely who you'll see. He's 2-2 with an ERA of 3.42, 22 and 2/3 innings. He's walked 10 and struck out 24. The opponent hits 242. He's not going to go overly deep in ball games. His start 2 and 3 in the SEC are his deepest. He pitched into the 5th inning against Alabama, but didn't make it out. He pitched only 4 innings against South Carolina. Now, he was very effective in those games. Shutout ball in the game against Alabama, only 1 earned run in the game against South Carolina. But when you look at his last 3, in his last 3, you're looking at 9 earned runs given up, and he hasn't pitched out of the 3rd inning yet. That's against Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Kentucky. Against Kentucky, he didn't make it out of the 2nd. So obviously, with a freshman, there are some growing pains. Given those last 3 starts, could Tennessee go different in game number 3? Sure, they could. But again, that's a guy who started the last 6 and all 6 in the conference for them in game number 3. So we are going to assume, given that sample size, that they will run out Tegan Kuhns, the freshman righty, against LSU. As for the Tigers, I'm fully expecting Jay Johnson, when he meets with the media pre-series, to not give his starting rotation, and when it is finally announced, for it to be Anderson, Ianson, TBA. TBA on Sunday. See where you are in the weekend. And I think a lot of it depends on the workload for Cowan and Evans. If one of those guys is available, could you see them in a spot start? Sure. I've never been against a spot start for them. I've only been against permanently moving them into the rotation. If one of them is available for a spot start, sure. In fact, that's probably what I would favor if it presents itself, because those guys can get you deep. If Cowan and Evans aren't available, if you've used both of them up in the first 2 games, or you've put a lot of pitches on them where they can't give you length in game number 3, then I think Connor Ware is the guy who's going to get the start again. And if that's the case, I want to see him extend. I am staunchly against an opener with this LSU team, especially in game number 3. And I went into all those reasons in our weekend recap. Your bullpen has not been consistent enough top to bottom. Cowan and Evans have been awesome. And what you've found throughout most of your games is one of the guys, whether it's Binge or Rizzi or Myers or Cooper Williams or Jaden Newt or, Connor Ware, whichever guy, DJ Primo, one of them has stepped up in the game and stabilized it and helped get you to Cowan and Evans. But consistently, when you have to run that group of guys out there, that's where it's been a struggle more often than not. You've had some outliers. Your series against Auburn, definitely an outlier. But when that's the case, going opener isn't the way to go. Especially because outside of Cowan and Evans, you really don't have anybody that can give you sustained success in length. You tried that with Chase Shores. The struggles were still there. So I'm expecting that to fully be TBA. And if you haven't used Cowan or Evans, go ahead and give them the spot start. If you have, I'm expecting that to be Connor Ware. And again, if it is, I want to see him extend a little bit. You've put pitches on him early this season. He's got it in the tank. But this one trip through the lineup, using it as an opener, I am so staunchly against that with this LSU team. That's what I think you look at for game number 3 for LSU. Let's get into the rest of our series preview here and get more into the matchup itself. Gotlit Light Installers, gotlitlights.com for your quote. You need any lighting needs for the exterior of your home. You want to illuminate your landscape, illuminate your space. And it doesn't just have to be your home. It can be your office, residential, or commercial. Does not matter. Gotlit Lights. Here's what you do. You say, man, maybe I just redid the flower beds and I need to add more pop to it with some lights. Let you see the pop of color we added with the flowers 24/7. You think up your design. So this is what I want it to look like. You go to gotlit.com, gotlitlights.com, you get your quote. You present it to Derek and his team. They look at your design. They say, no problem. And they make it a reality. Custom designed to meet any of your specifications. Install. They maintain the lights for you as well. Gotlit light installers. And it's not just for your front flower beds or your backyard patio or pool area. Temporary outdoor lighting is available as well. For any of your private events, a wedding reception, graduation parties are right around the corner. Custom design, cut to fit, install, maintain, tear down, and storage. Gotlit light installers, gotlitlights.com. Tell them you heard it right here on Musso at the Box. All right. Let's quickly run through key players for Tennessee and then really dive into this series. Hunter Inslee's been fantastic for Tennessee, and Andrew Fisher, another Ole Miss transfer, has been fantastic for Tennessee. What Fisher does really well is, really all of it. The guy hits for average. He hits for power. He leads Tennessee with 16 home runs. But what's awesome there is he also leads Tennessee and the SEC in walks. 43 walks for a guy like Andrew Fisher to just 23 strikeouts. It's not something you normally see from a power hitter. Sure, you'll get the intentional 4 down to first base, but the guy hadn't been walked 43 times intentionally. He's got a great understanding of the strike zone. He's awesome at picking his pitch and hitting a mistake. He's a phenomenal SEC hitter. He's also one of the guys you can't let beat you in this lineup. The other is Hunter Inslee, who leads Tennessee overall on average at 342, and he also leads them in RBI with 47. Those two, if you were to go look at the SEC, where hitters rank in the SEC, those are the two you're going to see from Tennessee more often than not. A guy you would have seen plenty there had he not gotten hurt would have been Gavin Keelan, transfer from Louisville. That name should sound very familiar. LSU was in on him heavy as well in the portal. That came down to an LSU-Tennessee battle. Tennessee won it out. He suffered an injury and missed a lot of games, really kind of the middle part of the season for Tennessee. He's been slotted in mainly as their DH right now as he still works his way back to get into the field. But he's hitting .412 in 102 at-bats, 11 home runs, 28 RBI. Gavin Keelan is really, really good. Levi Clark is a standout freshman, but he has gone from being an everyday player to more of a platoon matchup type of guy. When you look at his numbers overall in the season, they're going to stand out at 338 and 8 home runs, but he's hitting an even 100 in conference play, which is obviously cut in to his playing time. Jay Abernathy is the other freshman. He'll play the outfield, right or left, mainly left for Tennessee when he's in there, but again, not an everyday player. The name that will sound really familiar to you outside of Hunter Inslee will be Dean Curley. He's another returner from the lineup a year ago when they won the national championship. That's really who I'll give you to really, really look at for the Vols. When you look at just conference play in hitting, if anybody else has stood out, Dalton Bargo has been that guy. He's cooled off a little, but he's hitting 333 in conference play, which leads the Tennessee Vols. On the mound, this is where we'll really focus in on conference-only numbers for Tennessee because they have their guys identified. It's going to start with Dylan Loy and Nate Snead. Dylan Loy leads this team in appearances overall with 19. That's second in the SEC, as a matter of fact. In conference only, he also leads Tennessee with 12 appearances. In those 12 appearances, 1 inning. He's more of a matchup lefty. He'll go an inning, but a lot of the times he'll go, a third, 2/3. In that regard. In his last 3 outings, he's logged 2 2/3 innings pitched. He's a guy they will absolutely use multiple times in a weekend, given that nature. and it's a really nice arm from the left side. Nate Snead, guy kind of towards the back end, but it is length out of him this year. That's been the biggest change I've noticed in Snead. Length, and mainly because he's holding the fastball velo much better than he did a year ago. And it's a big-time fastball, upper 90s, 97, 98, 99. That regard. When he comes out of the bullpen, maybe he'll hit 100. But he's holding that better than he did a year ago. Last year, it was like really those first few hitters, he had that velo, and then it would dip down to the mid to low 90s for the rest of his outing. But what you've seen is length. His longest appearance on the year, 4 1/3. When you look at outings less than 2 innings, you see 3. All year, 3. In terms of appearances overall in the season for Snead, let me make sure I have it right, 13. So 10 of his 13 outings, he's gone 2 or more innings. It's length there, and it's a really, really big arm. The other guys that they have really honed in on are Brandon Arvidsson. He's got 7 appearances for them in conference, and Tanner Franklin, he's got 9. Those are the guys to really, really keep an eye on. Like if this goes the way they want, those are the guys they're going to continually go to. Those are the guys they're going to want in the ball game. They have others, but Loy, Snead, Arvidsson, and Tanner Franklin, Braden Krenzel as well. He's got 4 appearances. That puts him next in line. So they very clearly have their guys defined that they want to go to. Okay, the series. The matchups and what it looks like for LSU. I have said all week, it really started in the weekend recap for Alabama, that I think Tennessee is better than LSU. I've thought that since I first sat down and watched a full Tennessee game back when they were in the Astros College Classic in February or March, whenever that was. This is the first time I sat down and watched a full game for Tennessee. And since then, I've watched a couple more full games. I think they are better than LSU. The better team doesn't always win in baseball. Home field is absolutely massive in this series. It's absolutely been massive in this series as a whole since LSU has matched up with Tennessee, since Tony Vitello has been the coach. Do you know what LSU's record is in Knoxville since Tony Vitello has been the coach? It's 0-8. Do you know what Tennessee's record in Baton Rouge is since Tony Vitello has been the coach? 5-1. The home team has been, home field has been massive in this series. And LSU has been awesome at home this year. Overall in the year, LSU is 25-3 at home. In conference play, LSU is 8-1 at home. And that atmosphere should be electric for 3 days at the box. LSU, while I think Tennessee is better, LSU is really, really good. And I don't think Tennessee is so far and away better than LSU. What makes this one hard right now and why there's such an uneasy feeling is LSU's just not playing their best baseball currently. And that needs to change. When I look at where LSU is, and then I look at Tennessee, the things they do really well are not matching up to how LSU's playing right now in favor of the Tigers. Tennessee doesn't walk a lot of hitters. In fact, the Tennessee Volunteers, as a pitching staff, overall on the season, have walked I have to find it. I'm sorry. I didn't write it down. Apologies. The third least amount of hitters in the SEC. We already told you they are third in strikeouts, one spot behind LSU. LSU has struck out 54 times the last 2 weekends combined. Forgive me, I don't love that matchup. Tennessee sports a top 5 ERA in the country. And it's second in the SEC. LSU is averaging 4.5 runs per game in their last 6 conference outings. And is hitting 172 with runners in scoring position in their last 6 conference outings. Forgive me, I don't love that matchup for LSU. Those things concern me greatly. LSU has walked 171 batters. That is 12th in the league. Tennessee's got the SEC leader in walks in their lineup. I don't love that matchup for LSU. So what do you want to see from the Tigers? What does LSU have to do in order to win this series? Well, first and foremost, you need a great outing from Cade Anderson on Friday night. LSU has lost 1 game this season, and it was at Auburn. It's the only time it's happened. You need a great outing from Cade Anderson. That's going to start with him keeping the ball in the ballpark. Because if he duels with Liam Doyle, you have a great chance to win that baseball game. That's why we went through the success you've had against number 1 guys this year in the conference. Overall, LSU needs to keep the ball in the ballpark. And that's actually something that does favor LSU in this series when you get past Anderson. LSU, as a pitching staff, why can't I find this? This is annoying the hell out of me. I really should have wrote this down. Has allowed the second least home runs in the SEC, 29. So actually, you've been pretty good keeping it in the park. That's one thing you have to do. You cannot issue free passes. This is one of those weekends where LSU needs to keep the free passes for the weekend, the walks, all that, to about 10 for 3 games. Can they do that? I don't know. I haven't done that very often recently. But that's a good, hard, fast mark where you really need to have it. Because if you give this Tennessee lineup extra opportunity, they're going to make you pay. LSU has got to have success with runners in scoring position. And I do not just mean hits. Y'all, if I see one more strikeout with a runner at third base and less than 2 outs, I'm going to blow a gasket. That is just so unacceptable for the veteran hitters that you have in this lineup. There are 2 things you can't do. Strike out and hit the ball to third. Literally, anything else is acceptable with a runner on third base and less than 2 outs, except for those 2 things, hitting the ball sharply to third and striking out. And LSU has struck out far too many times with runner at third base and less than 2 outs. And it's guys who you expect way more from. It's guys like Jared Jones. It's guys like Josh Pearson. It's guys like Danny Dickinson that you expect Chris Stanfield, that you expect way more from in that spot. And that has to cease this weekend. Put the ball in play. Hit a damn ground ball. You know what? You can go 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position and score enough to win the game if you execute in that type of spot, especially when you're expecting a pitcher's duel. That moment is going to be so pivotal in this series because runs are going to be at a premium. Success with runners in scoring position is factor number 1 for LSU offensively this weekend. Because you might not get a lot of opportunity. I'm not expecting you to get a lot of opportunity with runners in scoring position. So when you do, those guys have to score by any means necessary. That is non-negotiable. Something else I want to throw out there. I want to see LSU be really aggressive this weekend on the base paths. Similar to what they were early in the year. And I know that might scare a few of you because, man, LSU, their success rate wasn't great early in the year. They really had some struggles. They ran themselves out of some innings, things of that nature. But Tennessee has had a hard time controlling the run game this year. A really hard time. In fact, Tennessee has allowed the most stolen bases in the league at 75. Teams are stealing bases successfully against Tennessee almost at 80%, 78.9% success rate. LSU's got plenty of speed. You haven't seen Chris Stanfield run very much. And you've got guys behind him in the lineup. You flip the lineup over with him. You don't want to maybe run yourself out of an inning. I get it. But, man, he's got the ability to do that. Chris Stanfield stole home at Auburn as a freshman against South Carolina. Like, he's a really good base runner. He's got great speed. Use it. Danny Dickinson's a really good base runner, and he's got above average speed. Use it. You've seen them steal, Sin Pearson every now and then. Jake Brown's got really good speed. Use it. Put pressure on them. And that goes into your overall offense as a whole. You're looking for ways to score runs with runners in scoring position less than 2 outs and runner third, bunt. Man, you loved doing that earlier in the year. Bring it back. Put pressure on this Tennessee defense. LSU has got to get the strikeouts in order because if you put the ball in play against this defense, they will make mistakes. 970 fielding, down towards the bottom of the league. They will kick the ball. And if you do that in this atmosphere at the box, things can snowball. So I want aggression from LSU with runners in scoring position and to get runners in scoring position. You want to know how Kentucky took 2 out of 3 from Tennessee? That's Kentucky's game, and that's how they did it. They forced Tennessee to make a lot of plays. And LSU's capable of doing that. And if they do that at home, that place can get rocking. And it can be an avalanche for the opponent, especially when you're expecting record-setting crowds all throughout the weekend. So what do I think happens? I think LSU is more than capable of winning this series. It would not surprise me one bit if LSU wins this series. I think Tennessee is better. I think LSU is really, really good. But what concerns me is this team just hasn't looked very confident the last 2 weeks. What concerns me is where your struggles are the last 2 weeks. Tennessee excels in those areas. And I don't love that matchup. Reluctantly, I will take Tennessee to win 2 out of 3 this weekend. I don't want to do that, but I can't just in good faith pick LSU right now after the last 2 weeks, given their struggles. Do I think they can win it? Absolutely. I want to be perfectly clear on that. Yes. Would it surprise me if LSU won it? No. Can I pick them to win it? Not in good faith right now. So I'll take Tennessee. We'll have a recap for you after each game. And of course, our full weekend recap will drop Sunday evening. Please subscribe, share, follow on social media. Smash the like button if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't done that already. And go to gottlights.com and be here next time for more on Musso at the Box.